Training for beginners is often approached as a checklist of commands to teach, but one of the most important and least discussed foundations is understanding why dogs choose certain behaviors in the first place, because training that ignores motivation, emotional state, and biology tends to break down regardless of how much effort is applied. Dogs are learning constantly, not only during formal training sessions, which means everyday interactions either strengthen or weaken behaviors without owners realizing it. A behavior that works even occasionally, such as pulling on the lead and eventually reaching something interesting, becomes very strong because intermittent reinforcement is far more powerful than consistent rewards, a principle rooted in behavioral science that explains why some habits are so difficult to change. Another critical and often overlooked factor is arousal level, as a dog that is overexcited, anxious, or overtired is physically unable to process new information, so expecting learning to occur in that state leads to frustration rather than progress. This is why teaching calm behaviors, such as settling, choosing to disengage, or pausing before action, is often more valuable early in training than focusing solely on cues, even though it is rarely prioritized in beginner guidance. Timing also goes deeper than simply rewarding quickly, because dogs learn best when feedback happens within a very narrow window of around 1 to 2 seconds, and tools like verbal markers or clickers are effective not because they are special devices, but because they precisely connect the behavior to the outcome in a way that human reactions often cannot. Another concept many beginners struggle with is that dogs do not naturally generalize learning, meaning a dog that responds reliably in one location has not automatically learned that behavior everywhere, which explains why training appears to disappear in new environments and why skills must be deliberately practiced across different settings and levels of distraction. Fatigue is another commonly missed factor, as tiredness and mental overload can look like stubbornness or disobedience, particularly in puppies and adolescent dogs, when in reality the dog simply lacks the capacity to focus. Understanding canine body language is equally important, as subtle signals such as turning away, lip licking, slowing movement, or freezing often precede more obvious behaviors, and recognizing these early signs allows owners to adjust training before stress escalates. Progress in training is also rarely linear, and natural developmental phases, especially adolescence, often cause temporary regression that can feel discouraging but is a normal part of learning. Effective training also requires acknowledging individual differences, including breed tendencies, sensory sensitivities, and physical comfort, as pain or digestive discomfort can significantly reduce a dog's ability to learn, yet these factors are frequently overlooked. Ultimately, successful beginner training is less about perfect technique and more about learning how dogs learn, shaping the environment to support success, and measuring progress by improved communication and reduced stress rather than rigid obedience, because consistency matters, but thoughtful observation and flexibility are what create lasting change.